I'm Jason Fields, 31036 US Highway 58, and that's here in Lebanon. I'm the president of Russell County Combined Search and Rescue. I'm not going to take up just a second of your time. I'm going to be real honest with you. I submitted a request of funding in this upcoming budget. I submitted that through this window over here at the supervisor's office, and that felt real impersonal to me. I'm a face-to-face handshake kind of person, and I felt like I would have been doing myself and my team real injustice. I didn't present this to each one of you. So what I've combined for you tonight is that request. That's the front 2 pages. I've also put a profit and loss page, and I've attached a roster to the back so you can see who our members are. A couple of things I'll hit on the request. This year we're requesting the same amount as last year, in the amount of $5,000 in this upcoming budget. I think you all know who we are and what we're about now. Here at the bottom, I've made a statistics form here for you. Last year we had 2 people missing with mental health issues. We had 1 lost hiker, 1 instance where we had lost kayakers, 1 autistic child, and 1 elderly adult. And we put 140 hours into searching in Russell County in 2018 alone. This year, in 2019, we've already searched 196 man-hours here in Russell County. And that's a pretty significant growth rate for us. This funding is more critical than ever. Last year, with the donations of the Board of Supervisors, we were able to purchase search and rescue equipment that helped us carry out a search effort. This year, the goal set forth by our officers and our board is to obtain vertical rescue equipment. It's pretty well known that rock climbing is becoming an ever more popular sport in Southwest Virginia. We have some pretty breathtaking mountaintop views here in Russell County. With that said, I feel like it's becoming a necessity to support the infrastructure to take care of those needs. Not only protect our citizens, but our visitors as well. And I'm open to any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Well, thank you for what you do.
Thank you for what you do. One of you.
Madam Chair, if I may, I don't really have a question, but I just want to know, we're re-looking at putting them back into a line item in our budget? Are we?
They were a line item last year.
Yes.
Yes, and
But
we are again. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jonathan Taylor, Scenic Air Park.
Yes, I'm Jonathan Taylor, 851 Scenic Air Park Drive. I'm here to speak on behalf of recreational soccer. We have no qualm with the new field or anything like that. Our only problem is with the proposed parking lot as we put in with the extension of the stadium. That parking lot will take out 3 of our fields. That's 120 some kids that are on the field. We don't have anywhere else to go. Our program is growing. We had 327 kids signed up last year, and this year combined for soccer. Last fall we had 201. This year we have 238. So the program is growing. All that we ask is that you all don't forget about us. We would like to see that program keep growing and keep feeding into the school programs, because we don't just do Lebanon, we do Honecker, Lebanon, and Castle. And for y'all to see something, come out there on Saturday mornings. It's a mess. Parking's a mess. It's a mess. But we have 200 kids, 400 some parents, food trucks, people from Ridgeview, West Virginia, Tennessee come down and play us. So please, don't forget about us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next we have Mr. Joey Long.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and members of the board. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the potential of moving the Lebanon High School football complex, soccer complex, and track complex to Lebanon High School. I feel that the moving of this will greatly benefit the students of Lebanon High School and also our entire community of Russell County. Some of the positive impacts that I feel that will occur if this is allowed to occur by providing level funding from last year's budget into this year's budget so we can explore doing this is it will help enhance the safety of our athletes. I've given you a couple of pictures that was taken the other night. Our crowd control fence basically sits right on top of our playing surface, and our facility fence that encloses the entire facility is also right at the end of the playing surface. The pictures you're seeing are in the northeast corner of the end zone. That's just one picture to where our restraining lines or playing lines go right up against the fence, and it is and can be a safety hazard for our student athletes at Lebanon and our visiting athletes. Also, it will address the current stadium safety concerns, such as crumbling bleachers, uneven seating, and walkways, and lack of handrails. And also, by doing this, we can meet all ADA requirements by moving the facility. Access to better parking will prevent spectators from crossing two public highways to gain stadium access. I'm sure some of you are aware, but parking is very limited at Lebanon Middle School, and they have to park at the church, downtown, in the fields, at the town park, etc. And they have to cross, a lot of times, Main Street and George B. Whited Avenue. Also, a move would provide adequate parking for visiting bands to prevent the bands from using the public highway to gain stadium access. We have to park buses at the right at the edge of Main Street, and the bands have to walk down George B. Whited through moving traffic in order to get access to the stadium. It'll also provide easier access for emergency vehicles entering and exiting the field, and also entering and exiting our stadium. Adequate dressing facilities for both teams will be addressed and brought up to standards. Public restrooms will be provided for all spectators. Significant improvements will be made for concession facilities. Also, a modern track will allow all county schools to host events, will allow schools to host district, regional, and state events. I will work with my colleagues at the other two schools in order to give those children the opportunity to host county events and host regional and state events. Work closely with my colleagues at those two schools. Adequate parking on school grounds will be addressed. We will have the opportunity to put all visitors on Lebanon High School grounds, which will address safety concerns in that area.
Excuse me, Mr. Long, your time's up. Sorry, be rude.
Thank you.
Hey, I hate to do that to you, do.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Thank you all very much for allowing me to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Michael Webb.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Tonight, I'm joined by three of our football players. I'm here to speak on behalf of not just the football team, but our entire athletic program at Lebanon High School. Coach Dillon's here for the soccer program. He brought three players with him as well. I'd first like to just echo all the sentiments of Mr. Long about the safety at our current field. And if you've been to our current field, you can see there has been efforts to refurbish some things, our fencing, some of the bleacher stuff, myself, some fellow parents have worked on, but it's become beyond repair, in my opinion. I think I offer a unique perspective for this situation, being the current head football coach, but also a former player at Lebanon High School. I feel the sentiment of a lot of the members of the community of just the rich tradition of Harry Stewart Field. I played on Harry Stewart Field myself, but at times there comes need for change, and I think the time for a change is now. I also think by moving the football facility to the high school, it will provide an area for multiple athletic teams from our school to participate on that field. It would also provide an opportunity for multiple youth sports organizations, soccer, football, etc., to take part in it as well. Also, speaking of safety, we use the current locations as our practice facilities, and if you've been there, and I'm sure a lot of the soccer folks here have been there too, and they practice on it, they play on it, our field conditions out there are not what they need to be either. So by providing a synthetic surface for everyone to use, we'll no longer be able to, we won't see the wear and tear on our field as much as we do currently. Because just the other day I was out there and I saw there was a roller out there rolling the soccer fields before they played on Saturday. So that, to me, that tells me there's holes and divots and things like that they're scared of young children, breaking their ankle in as well. Also, moving the facility of the high school to provide adequate locker rooms that can be used by multiple sports in the off season. Provide a field house with weight room that can be used by multiple sports. And for me, as the head football coach, we hope that it will draw the interest of more students to come out and participate in our sport, as well as more students to come out and participate in our soccer programs and our track programs as well. So I thank you for your time. These two guys right here, they're not going to speak, but they're here for support, and I think Casey's going to speak to you here in just a moment. So thank you for your time, Madam Chair.
Appreciate it. All right. Casey, next, all right, we have Casey Martin, addressing the construction of the athletic complex.
Thank you for allowing me the time to speak to you. I'm currently a junior at the high school. I'm a football player as well as a member of the track and field team. And as far as the field at the middle school goes, I've been playing on it since my 7th grade year, and actually probably my 6th grade year because of youth football. And I have rolled a couple of ankles on it since I've played. I think it's a pretty big risk to anyone who plays on that field, not just football, but soccer, for instance. They use it too, and I know there's a pretty big risk there because they're constantly running, chasing after the ball there, kicking it, and I mean, just in the track team as well, the track out at the high school, it's a very big risk because I believe it's made of concrete, and that is something that cannot be used for competitions. I mean, somebody slips, falls on it, that's a skinned knee, there's just a multitude of injuries that could occur in that situation, and I just think that having the new field, new track field out at the high school would just be a great idea. It would eliminate a lot of the potential safety hazards out at the middle school and the field we have or the track we have at the high school. And it would just, I think it would just increase participation in sports teams as well, because I mean, we don't have a lot of football players. Last year we had not even 30, and a lot of that I believe is due to the safety risks the current field presents, and I just feel that eliminating that threat would overall increase participation and decrease safety concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. We have Ryan Dillon, who's speaking on the athletic field. Awesome.
Good evening. My name is Brian Dillon. Currently the girls varsity soccer coach out here in Lebanon. I've been living in Lebanon for about 10 years now. We moved back. My state job I've been all over the state, different places, different schools, and so we're glad to be back. My wife's from here originally, but we got 4 kids that attend school here in Russell County. One's graduated, he's down at ETSU, another one's a senior, and I got 2 more, one in 7th grade, one in 5th grade. I'm involved in the youth soccer league, basketball, I've been in youth football and everything else, coached all of them. Our current needs out there would be huge. As Coach Webb mentioned, our practice field out there is atrocious. If it rains hard, we can't practice. Due to the mud puddles standing on the current practice field, it's in bad shape. I constantly worry about my girls or other players rolling ankles because it's awful. You know, out at the current stadium, you know, it's Bermuda grass right now, so that's not really ideal for soccer season because you know, it's not upkept the way it should. It's not quite what you see from Blacksburg in the spring, so it makes it rough for us to play on it right now. You know, not to mention the bleachers and so on and so forth just need to be updated. I know I got a couple girls here that would like to speak about it as well, but just, you know, we travel all over and we see these new facilities and then they come to our place and it's like, wow, you know, wow, this is what y'all play on. Not to mention our field also for soccer. We're thankful to have it because we have a place to play, but compared to the other soccer fields, it's small. I'd say it's probably about 50 yards wide, 55. I think most of the average ones we play are about 80 yards wide. So competition-wise, it takes a toll on us. When you go from a small field, playing on a small field constantly, then you go to like Sugar Grove or Ridgeview or over Honeacre, it makes a big difference on your players. But you know, as far as the track and everything, all my kids play sports. They're involved in choir and the theater and all that stuff. So it's not just one thing I'm focusing on here. You know, we've traveled. We always have to go to regionals somewhere else or districts somewhere else. Yeah, I think it'd be really good for the community to be able to have some pride back and get people excited, get the students excited, come out for football and other sports, and move that facility out there. And also, to address something that was mentioned earlier about the ASA, the Youth Soccer League, you know, if this does go out there, there's a possibility to get the community involved, and I thought about this a lot, because those fields out there really aren't ideal for the kids as well, because they're all wishy-washy hills and everything else not level. Possibly moving out to the middle school, getting that facility out there, you can house 3 or 4 fields on that field alone, like the U6, the U8, U10 fields, out at the middle school, so that could possibly kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say. So, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate your time. Next, we have Audrey Dillon.
Hello, my name is Audrey Dillon, and I am a current senior at Lebanon High School this year. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to be able to speak to you guys on behalf of the soccer program at LHS. I am a 4-year varsity starter on the soccer team and a senior captain this year. I would like to talk a little bit about the ability to take pride in where we play for all sports, football and soccer. When we go to the other schools, we see their new facilities like Central and Ridgeview, and we ooh and ah. It's hard not to. They're beautiful fields for both football and soccer. The bathrooms are great, in great conditions, and they're just beautiful to look at and to play on. And then when schools come to our current field, they do not have the same reaction. They question the lines because they are not the correct measurements for soccer. And we play during the season of soccer, the grass is completely dead. It is sharp and it's brown and it's hard to even see the white painted lines that are for the soccer. Our goalie the other day in our game was constantly asking, am I in the lines? Because if she steps out of the goalie box, it's a handball, so that goes against us. So she couldn't even see the lines on the field because of the color and the dead grass. And I also think that by moving this to the high school, it is easier for athletes to get down to the field after we change because we just get to go straight there instead of having to drive all the way to the middle school for a game and using those facilities that are not in the best conditions either for changing and whatnot else. And I would like to also think that moving this to the high school would create a new sense of pride in our athletes and students in general. Like my father said, we have there's many, sorry, I lost the band and music programs. I'm in choir myself, and we sing the national anthem for many of the games. And the band, the accessibility of coming to that would be so much easier, speaking on behalf of the music at LHS, to get the instruments down there and to have a nice place to sing and impress the crowd with our music, not only our sports. And I think I would like to be able to take pride in where I play my sport. And I know my fellow athletes would as well. And even though I will not probably get to participate in this myself because I am a senior this year, I know that my little brother and little sister would, and other kids as well coming up in the youth soccer and youth football programs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dee. Appreciate your time. We have Jessie Ball, who wants to speak on the athletic field.
Good evening. My name is Jessie Ball, and I'm a rising senior at Lebanon High School. I'd like to thank Mr. Long for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you all on behalf of all LHS students and athletes. And I would like to thank you for taking the time to review and consider a proposal to build a new athletic facility at LHS, and more importantly, listen to the students at LHS. I currently participate in multiple sports, including cross-country, track, and soccer. I've won numerous awards as an athlete at LHS, including district, regional, and state titles. And just like myself, LHS athletes and coaches put in a lot of hard work and dedication to their sport. Sometimes the facilities provided for LHS students do not seem equal when compared to schools such as Honecker, Richlands, West Central, and Ridgeview. Each of these schools have turf football and soccer fields, with West Central and Ridgeview having a state-of-the-art track as well. As an athlete, it is impressive to play on such nice fields. We at LHS cannot host a home track meet because our current track does not meet the state requirements. The soccer field is small, and the one that we currently practice on at LHS has many holes and bumps throughout. I mean no disrespect to anyone in regards to existing facilities at LHS, but I've never understood why athletes have to take a bus or find a ride to the middle school for games or practice. Having a new football, soccer, and track facility at LHS is a wonderful idea, and in my opinion, needed and long overdue. Thank you for your time and consideration on this proposal, and I ask specifically that you vote in favor of funding the new facility at LHS.
Appreciate your time. Kelly McBride-Dell.
I'm Kelly McBride-Dell, your local public librarian, and I want to take a couple of my moments to commend the students that came today to speak. I come to most of these meetings, and you know, y'all come to all of them, and there are a few of us that are always here, but so many people are not aware, much less engaged. So I just think that these kids need a round of applause for their engagement in their community. You guys need to keep coming, and you know, eventually you need to be sitting up there. I'm maybe sooner than you think. That's 18, they can run. I wanted to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do for National Library Week this year. This year we are going to sponsor a megathon. We're participating in Citizen Science Day. And Citizen Science Day is an opportunity for each and every one of us to make a contribution to science. And the project we're going to be working on is one that's really, it means a lot to me personally. We're going to be participating in Alzheimer's research. I have a very dear friend who was 2 weeks older than me who died last year from Alzheimer's. She didn't make her 56th birthday. We have a lot of people in our family, I'm sure, that are older and have some dementia. But what they have done is created essentially an app that allows you to do the research as a game. you are searching, it's called Stall Catchers Megathon is the one we're participating in. And essentially when the blood flow stalls, they think that is part of what allows the proteins to not get flushed out of your brain, and that's how you end up developing Alzheimer's partially. So I hope that each of you will consider coming by the library for an hour or two after lunch on the 13th of April, Saturday. First half an hour or so is a little bit about the project, and then you can bring your own computer. You can use one of ours. You can, from home, download the information and look it up, but you're essentially trying to just find places in the images before you. You can also practice on Thursday, so I want to give each of you guys one of these and hope you'll share it, and I hope all of you folks here behind me will take a look. You can Google Citizen Science or Stall Catchers Megathon and find out lots more, but we are a site and participating, and I hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Now we have Travis Hooker, who will be speaking about the track, LHS track.
Thank you all for allowing me to speak. Yeah, I'm the head boys and girls cross country coach. I'm also the head boys and girls track coach at Lebanon High School. I've been doing cross country since I started teaching, so I think about 14 years on that. And I started off doing tennis, but been doing track for about the last 7 years. I had the opportunity to have a lot of good athletes in both of those sports. You know, had a lot of good accolades. But also I've had a lot of good people and go on to do a lot of good things in the community and in life, and in college and those things. With the new track at Lebanon High School, it'll allow us to have so many more, it'll open up so many doors for us to, like Mr. Long said, to host meets. We can host district meets, we can host regional meets, we can host community benefits for the community. I can self-fund my track team because I can have meets there. You know, there's entry fees that will go along with that, so that way I won't need any money to support that. Currently, I have the primary school has been nice, and I have a cross-country meet at the primary school, so I run my whole cross-country program through that. Not only that, Honaker and Castlewood, you know, we used to have a county meet. When I first started here, we had a county meet where Castlewood, Honaker, and Lebanon participated in. You know, we sort of can no longer have that because we don't have the facilities. And mostly of that is, you know, the rubberized track, you know, our long jump pits, the earth is just kind of wind, but there's not usable still, you know, our high jump pits kind of gravelly and holy, and it's dangerous to do those field events. So, you know, a lot of kids that do field events, when we go to the meets, we kind of can do our walkthroughs, we can do those sort of things. But as far as like really practicing the field events, those are hard. You know, the discus thing, the dad has some holes in it. It's just hard to do those. It has become a safety issue. Also, you know, Castlewood used to come to our track and practice, and now they're coming to Eastside. You know, I had a really good communication with them. I felt like I had a really good relationship with those. Castlewood has built their track team really dramatically over the years. That's great. They built their cross-country program. Hunter, I know Doug Hubbard, he loved to come down there. We're not doing that anymore. I think that community will build all that back together as a whole, and if we do it as a county, we can kind of move forward and have really, really strong track programs moving forward. So I think it's great for everything. And then some people just say that I think, you know, hosting things in a football complex and as a track complex, like if that be concerts, whatever that, hosting those things, hosting events, and that'll be revenue also that's going back into the county, back into the school system. So I think there's going to be a multi-use facility unit, and it'll just bring us in the future and it'll take us there for the next, you know, 30, 40 years moving forward. So appreciate y'all's support on all those facilities moving forward, and hopefully we look forward to continue the tradition of having all these athletes, you know, participate as a strong line. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. And next is Doug Hubbard with the Lebanon High School. He's going to speak on Lebanon High School track. That's what it says. I know, but that's what it says. He's a homemaker boy.
I'm going to do something a little unusual. I'm going to support Lebanon track. Selfish reasons for this as well as I love to see a track in all 3 counties. I've tried for 37 years to get one at home there. Coach said he's been coaching for just a few minor years. I've coached track at home for 37 years. We now, you know, my daughter went to college and ran track. Her AD's son went to college and ran track. But when I was preparing, we were preparing some of our better athletes for track meets. I've driven to Patrick Henry and practiced on a rubberized surface so I could get our kids ready to run it or hurdles or whatever they were doing. And, you know, and to me, if I could have come to Lebanon, I could have saved an hour. Okay? Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have one at home after too. Of all the things that we've not been able to accomplish, that's been one. But I think one in the county is better than none in the county. And that's kind of what I feel about it. And if it's usable and we can have accessibility to it from Honaker High School, I'm running around the football field right now. We practice around the football field. I've got shot putters over the hill, runners running around the football field, and I can't watch all at one time. Okay, but if we had one place where we could actually train some of our kids or better athletes or quality athletes, we give them more opportunities. And if we can find a way in this county to create opportunities for kids in college and athletics, I think it's a great thing. I think anytime we invest in kids, we invest in the right, we're going in the right direction. So the Honaker boy love to see one, this boy would love to see one in Ward County, a nice one. And I do support the one in the county. I've done this a lot longer than most people have coached track at Andrew School. And I've been the head coach there for a long time, 37 years. But I would love to see a facility go in where we could have a top-notch facility, track in this county, and regardless of where it's at. And I would love to see in time one be at Honaker, one be at Castlewood, and one be at Lebanon. It would be a wonderful thing for our entire athletic program. But we can only take one thing at a time, and we can only do one thing at a time. And I do support that ideal. And I know what it's like to struggle with facilities and have quality athletes, and you're struggling with facilities and stuff like that. I've been there, and I do appreciate your time. But to me, we take care of a lot of things, but sometimes we ignore some of the sports that everybody can do. Okay? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, appreciate your time. Is there anyone else? There's no one else on the list, but if anybody else wants to speak,
Is it a change I can speak even though I gave my time to Bob?
we'll allow you 3 minutes, sir.
I'm Morris Christian from Big City, Section 11. After listening to different ones speak the pros and cons for the field, not for the field and all, I have had a delegation go and talk with Dr. Brown a week ago tonight, and I know Bob Gibson is for Castlewood. I'm for Castlewood. I'm for letting them field here to renovate those fields. Now, according to my information, we'd be spending $2.5 million for a new ball field, more than it would take to renovate this one here in Lebanon, bring it up to date, do whatever needs to be done. But my question number one was, how did it get in the shape it's in now? Is it neglect, lack of funds to do the work? What? But we could take that $2.5 million that we save on the new field, renovate this one, and maybe take all that money and spend it on Castlewood. Homeacre's got a lot better field facilities, I understand them. But they probably could vouch for that. But we need to maintain these fields and the facilities, the clubhouses, the concession stands, or whatever. And I know there's some, they say there's some violations here at the middle school field. It's nothing but what we can take care of. And tearing down those concrete bleachers is going to be a lot of expense right there to tear those down and dispose of the material. I've talked to a company about pumping, hydraulic pumping, concrete in order to level those bleachers and steps, so it won't be a liability of being off from one another. Well, I'm looking into some things, and I think that we need to consider all options before we actually, this board makes a decision, and the school board, what direction to go. But I think we could do Castlewood and Lebanon Middle School fields, and still use the field house charter, as Mr. Taylor said, for the thing, and maybe even make some variation changes, and be able to have all three places. And I think it could accommodate a lot of things that people had brought here, to be able to do this, do that, you know, different facilities and everything. So I like to give you some time to think on some of those things, and we wouldn't be going in debt, we wouldn't probably affect our credit rating, you know, for our indebtedness of the county. So to renovate this place, it's a middle school, Castlewood, and anything else that we need to do at the Lebanon High School, not build a new field altogether at the Lebanon High School. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, appreciate your time. Anyone else? Your name and address on there, please.
I'm Charles Lewis, I'm from the East
Okay, hang on, sir, and I'll get it for you.
I sit back here and listen to this, and I'll say this. When it comes to raising taxes, I'm probably more against it than anybody in the county, but I do support this project. It's much needed, it's way overdue. So, as the old saying goes, just to get the ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we'll close our public comment at this time, and we'll move on to our constitutional officers. And I don't believe I see any of them here today. All right, our county attorney reports and requests. We have Senator Chafin with us today. Katie is, had other obligations tonight, so clerk, if you'll give us their reports and requests.
Chair. So we have a couple of matters that's going to be coming up I can speak on that, Chair. A couple of matters that I'd like for the board to consider scheduling for the purpose of having public hearings in the future on. We're working on finalizing proposed articles of incorporation for the Russell County PSA, and there needs to be a public hearing. I think that that should be set May the 6th. I would recommend that it be set for May the 6th, and the board can consider those at that time, at that meeting. In addition to that, we also are reviewing amended articles with regard to the waste management, Cumberland Plateau Waste Management Authority, and there should be some consideration also of a public hearing for that matter, also at the same time, May the 6th, if it's the pleasure of this board. Madam Chair, I think that those are the issues that I want to bring to the board's attention at this time that would require some emotion, yes.
All right, let's take the first one. We'll have the public hearing on the resolution of the joiner of the Russell County PSA and the Castlewood Water and Sewer. We have a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
We need to set a time for that, Madam Chair. 6 on.
6. All over 6. That's every
All at 6.
Yeah. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, we'll have that May the 6th, 6 o'clock, a public hearing. Our second one is the waste management articles of incorporation. Do we have a motion for a public hearing on May the 6th to follow the public hearing on the resolution on the joining of the PSAs. Same thing.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Steve,
I'll
thank you.
second.
And Harry, a second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, there also is a remaining matter regarding the project Blue Jay matter. And this board passed the moral obligation resolution really back at in your March meeting, as my recollection. And we also have some closing documents that are going to be needed, that need to be signed by you or by the administrator, and we'd like to have an authorization for those closing documents to be signed.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make that motion and designate our Madam Chair to sign those documents in regards to this project.
Do we have a second? Thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, if you have your office contact me, I'll swing by and get it for you. Okay, thank you. All right, now we have our county administrators' reports and requests.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the county administrator reports and requests, the first thing that we have up is, of course, a good one. Russell County nominees for the 2019 American Red Cross Celebration of Heroes. I want to go through these list of names, and I'll embarrass a couple in the audience. The first nomination is Maxie Skeen, and with the Cleveland Life Saving Crew for the category of emergency response. She's still doing it. I ain't going to say how many years. Second one is Clyde Wilson with the Rosedale Belfast Volunteer Fire Department for the firefighter category. Number 3 is, of course, Jason Monk, and this is for a RSO and education. Then we have Dr. Paul Phillips, which is with the Dane Rescue Squad and the Russell County Hospital for the medical emergency response. Caleb Cook with the Homeacre Volunteer Fire Department and the firefighter category. Jess Powers, our Emergency Management Director for Community Impact. Jonathan Johnston with the St. Paul Police Chief for Law Enforcement. Daniel Glass with the Dane Rescue Squad, Emergency Response. And last is Debbie Gibson with the Castlewood Middle School teacher. This one surprised me. For education in the Closet of Need. Next on the county administrator reports is the conclusion when Rick Thompson, the county, the treasurer for the Russell County, when he retired on February 28, 2019, we're required to do a turnover and do an audit when he steps out the door to ensure that we're meeting all state requirements. So the auditors of public accounts did a report of examination on the office that day, and I will read out the closing statements. The auditor's report states, First Section Code 58.1-3136 of Code of Virginia requires a turnover audit whenever a treasurer leaves the office. The examination was performed to determine the accountability of the treasurer at February the 28th, 2019, and to turn over the assets, the accounts, and the records of the office to Alicia K. McLaughlin, the newly appointed interim treasurer. In our opinion, based on the examination, the receipts referred to above fairly represent in all material respects the Commonwealth's assets of Patrick L. Thompson, treasurer of Russell County, Virginia, turned over to the incoming treasurer at February the 28th, 2019. So upon the turnover, there was a complete turnover with 0 deficiencies. Next on the county administrator reports is the Dane Development
Dane Community Redevelopment Project, the DMME AML project. And actually, we got another one that we're adding to. This is a letter that was dated March the 6th, 2019, from the Department of Mines and Minerals and Energy. 2018 AML Pilot Selection Committee has chosen the Dane Community Redevelopment Project to be vetted for funding by the Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement for the amount of $269,000. Next, Lou, do you want to speak on
No, I'm cheering. Go ahead.
that? Okay.
Pocket full of money.
That's the Artie Lee.
Artie Lee, yes. Next on the Commission reports is the UVA WISE 2019 UVA Economic Development Forum. Yes, this is an FYI. It is on May the 15th, 2019 at UVA WISE. They have a variety of forum announcements and keynote speakers. So if you are interested, then either contact us or the college and we'll be glad to inform you. Next is the county administrator reports. It's Buchanan County Board of Supervisors is having an economic development summit on April the 16th, 2019. This will deal with various economic development projects, initiatives, and throughout the Plateau District. The next is Community Con 2019 Everyday Heroes, which is on April the 13th, 2019. Now this is Community Con 2019. Is for Everyday Heroes. It is put on by the Clinch Valley Community Action. Now, this is our Everyday Heroes. This has our contest, essay contest, and the 2019 Russell County Officer of the Year will be announced at 3 o'clock. So we are inviting everyone to attend. Like I said, there'll be vendors, comic books, games, photography, movies, etc. And this is put on by the Clinch Valley Community Action. Next on the county administrative reports is the Southwest Virginia Community College 2019 Festival of the Arts. This is their 25th anniversary. It is from the period of April the 5th, 2019 through April the 17th, 2019. And last but least on the reports is we have to clean up. This is the Russell County Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day, which is on April the 17th, 2019. And we invite everyone to participate.
We'll be right there together.
At the government center, yes ma'am, out in the parking lot. So we've got room for you to come, and there shouldn't be much of a line. So. Next is the county administrator's request. First up on the list and for motion is the authorization of the CSA supplement for DSS of $32,537.13 for appropriation of funds for their foster children program. I need a motion for $32,537.13.
I'd be honored to make that motion.
We have a second?
Second.
I'll speak to this just a minute. This is to finish out, they close their books on May 30th. This will finish out the foster care funds they need to house these children, whether it be here in a residential, in a private home residential area or in a facility. But this money will go to house and educate our children that are in the foster care program. This will finish out all of her bills through May. So at this time, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
I did have a question.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Is that in addition to what was originally budgeted to them? Is this an additional budget?
It is an additional.
It is, but then it does come back to us. We will be reimbursed
Okay.
back through the state.
Gotcha.
80% of their funds is reimbursable
Right.
through state and federal funding. Yes, it is. Because you never know what it's gonna cost
I
for you.
understand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next, of course, I see Jeff Gunn down the audience. This is authorization to VDOT public notice to abandon Route 653 of Creekwood Drive. This is a request by the Virginia Department of Transportation to publish this on the abandonment of Route 653. I hope the Board of Supervisors had an opportunity to look at the resolution of intent and the notice of proposed road abandonment, and of course, the map of the abandonment of the road. I will need a motion for a public notice to abandon on Route 653.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any comments, thoughts? All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Next, thank you, Madam Chair. Next up on the county administrator request is authorization of travel request. First one I have up on the list, of course, is the General Registrar's Office to attend the election services, which is the annual Virginia Electoral Board administration, which is at the Homestead. I need approval for the board members and the General Registrar to attend. If it's okay, to say something here regarding this authorization of travel request, can you have those listed out for us on the agenda, on the paper sheets? Like, the item list?
It's in the board.
It's in the board package, but I was just wondering if it can be listed on the sheet.
I can do
Okay,
it in the
thank
future,
you.
yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
All right.
All right, do we have a motion to authorize this travel request?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Steve, David, thank you. All those in favor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, the next one, next travel request is for the Commonwealth Attorney. This is for spring instruction. I need approval for travel on this one. This is fully funded and paid by the federal grants.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next one is for the library. Kelly's will be attending the Virginia Public Library Directors Meeting, and this one is funded by the state aid funds. This will be the VPLDA registration and is that Blacksburg?
No, Blackstone.
Blackstone. Sorry, it's Blackstone.
Stay.
I need approval on it.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion, we authorize the travel request.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next one is for Crystal White, another Commissioner of Revenue. This is for training and travel for roles of responsibility class. This is only registration, and this will be, actually this is not the first part of the class, but it is actually in Leesburg, Virginia. I need a motion for approval on this.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
It's getting near the end of the year, a lot of people traveling, we're doing a lot of training. Next on the list is, of course, for Kathy's Vance, Donna Israel, and Tracy Jesse, the clerk's office of the combined court to attend the Harrisonburg, Virginia spring workshop and annual meeting. I need an approval for the court's travel.
So moved.
Harry and Tim? Okay. Harry, Tim, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now for number 12 that we added on, this is the April 2019 proclamation for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I need a motion on the announcement.
I think we have a speaker in the room. I didn't see you.
All
You got
here.
I broke my ankle, I apologize.
Save me asking the question.
Yes, I broke my ankle 2 months ago, I was out
You
of
didn't
work
look
for
that
a
way the
month.
last time I saw you.
Yeah, 3 months ago, I did not look like this. My name is Riley Drake, I work for Crunch Valley Community Action Family Crisis Services. I'm the sexual assault advocate here in Russell County very proudly. I take care of those men, women, and children in our county who have been victims of sexual assault or are family members of a victim of sexual assault. In front of you, you should have the proclamation for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I live for this month. And if it pleases you guys and just to read it.
You want us to read? You want me to read the entire thing?
I would like that. You could.
April 2019 proclamation, Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and impacts every person in the community. Every day, women, men, children across Russell County experience the pain and trauma of sexual assault. From verbal harassment, intimidation, molestation, rape, this crime occurs far too frequently, goes unreported far too often, and leaves long-lasting physical and emotional scars. During Sexual Assault Awareness Month, we recommit ourselves not only to erasing the secrecy and shame surrounding sexual assault, but also raising awareness, expanding support for our victims, and strengthening our response. Whereas rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment harms our community, and statistics show 1 in 5 women and 1 in 67 men will be sexually assaulted at some point in their life. Whereas children's sexual abuse prevention must be a priority to confront the reality that 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls will experience a sexual assault before the age of 18. Whereas on campus, 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men are sexually assaulted during their times in college. Now, therefore, I do hereby proclaim April 2019 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I urge all residents of Russell County to embrace their voices, to show their support for survivors, to stand up for victim blaming, and to promote everyday consent, and to practice healthy communication with kids. I join advocates and communities across the country in taking action to prevent sexual violence. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and each day of the year is an opportunity to create change for the future. At this time, we motion to
We'll make a motion that we approve this proclamation and authorize the chairperson to sign this.
in a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll sign it right here for you.
Thank you. If I can get a picture with everyone. Sorry, my boss needs proof that I work on. I know, right?
Part of your job.
All right. Yes, go ahead. Get our number 1 CD in here.
We good? Yes, you're all
Do y'all want pictures?
One for Heather.
I just fell down a hill. It's been 3 months of this, so.
Grab your seat.
It's healing up good. I have a doctor's appointment Wednesday. It takes
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, one of the additions add on, onto the agenda. Again, this is in Lou's area, the Virginia Brownsville Restoration and Economic Redevelopment Assistance Fund Program, the site remediation grant. This is for $215,000. gonna speak on this one.
Do you need a motion first before we discuss?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the Virginia Brownsville Restoration and Economic Redevelopment Assistance Fund.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
Steve? All right, Bud, would you like to speak to this?
Well, yes, I want the public to understand what this is. It is a grant for remediation of a Brownsville site, and a Brownsville site basically is a polluted site. And so we had an assessment done on the Artie Lee School section up in Sawmill Holler of the Dank area, and it qualified for a phase 1 remediation site. And so when we were able to move to a phase 2, we were able to get this money. And so it's all EPA money. It comes down to do cleanups. And one of the things that was inside the Artie Lee School that you guys may not know was Clinchfield at one time leased this property, and there were mine cores inside this property. And it is, in fact, every classroom is loaded with mine cores. And of course, there's asbestos and things like that that's in regular schools that we have now. But anyway, this was an EPA grant, came down through the Virginia DEQ. It will be administered through some of those folks. And Virginia Tech did a design for this site once it's remediated. And that's where the $269,000 came in from the abandoned mine lands, because it qualified under that. So the two grants were working together. And I'm very proud of the little community that's worked hard to make this possible. They've gathered about $750,000 so far for the community of Dank, Virginia, and I'm very proud.
Excuse me, those cores, were the cores somehow hazardous?
Well, Virginia law is that anytime coal hits the ground, it is considered to be a site, a Brownsville site, because
I understand.
that's,
Yeah, they do those borings.
so we kind of use that as our ploy to get a lot of things done. But I will tell you that the mine cores are basically clean.
Yeah,
Do they have
They didn't-
historical value?
probably not. They're probably, you know.
They're just tube looking like things.
Yeah, I
and
mean, I
there's
know what they
just-
are.
Core
tons
that
and tons and
spread
tons.
over the coal and all that.
So it's really interesting. Virginia Tech hired a firm called Cardno to look at the assessment, and they work with the EPA. And they said that we could actually use the cores outside as some sort of a decorative stone. So it's pretty interesting, and you may be able to see those cores. I think they came out of the old McClure 1 mine. I think it's that old, and of course that mine is now closed, but it's pretty interesting.
Are they still kind of organized? Or
Yeah, they're still in, they're
They got
still
close
organized. They're
your
just
stuff,
stacks
like-
and stacks and stacks of mining cores.
They make a real wet rock to sharpen your knife.
All right.
I'm telling
Do you
you.
think I can sell those?
I think you ought to.
I think you got enough funds down there already.
Call for the vote, Madam Chair.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Lou, you're doing good. You're racking in the money down there.
The Licensed County Administrator request, of course, is a grant for good purpose, Violence Against Women Act. It says, we are pleased to advise you that grant number from the grant program has been approved in amount of $24,882 in federal funds and $32,146 in match funds toward the total amount of $57,028 towards the Violence Against Women Act. I need a motion for approval and
So moved.
Second.
Boo.
It's okay.
All right, Boo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, that concludes the County Administrator request and reports.
All right, now, are there any matters, any board member have anything they want to discuss? Tim?
No, ma'am.
Lou?
Yes, in fact, I do. I think the last time that we were here, Mr. Alan Sargent came before the board and spoke publicly concerning the taxes forgiven taxes for a fully qualified veteran on one vehicle.
Yes, you had to be 100%.
You had to be 100% vested or vetted or whatever. Okay. And so he was here earlier. He said he didn't see anything on this report tonight that would give him any information that he was looking for. And so I promised that I would ask the question, where do we stand with that? Are we looking into that actively?
Well, Lonzo did look into it for us. We discussed it at our meeting. The General Assembly did not take any action, so we have no state statute to guide our things with. There's nothing to tell us. Mike, is that correct?
Yeah. The proposal had been taken up by VACO and some of the other counties. Right now, being a veteran, you know, they also get, you know, tax break on the real estate. This was a proposal for their vehicles. But one of the things that comes through, this is during the time of tax, we haven't, you know, legally set the tax rate yet. We haven't went through the budget process yet. So that will still be considered. And we have to work in conjunction with the Commissioner of Revenue, so. But it is still being looked at.
That would be in the coming tax year.
That would have to be in this one tax year, yes, sir.
Okay, but that would be something that we can tell him back, just to let him know that this is something that we are open to, correct?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
we're looking at possibly?
We are considering everything, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And one more thing, if I may, Madam Chair. The dilapidated buildings and that sort of thing, I noticed that we have a report from our building official on the end of all of our paperwork that we have. And so I'm just wondering, I think there's some addresses that's not exactly been on there, so I need to go back, or somebody needs to go back, and I'll be happy to bring him up to speed.
That would be great, man.
Oh, God.
With,
Okay. I have a whole pile of that stuff, but I will send it back to him once again, just to make sure that he has got the same size pile that I do.
the report that we send to the board, it tells of more detail. What I can make easier is the ones like an Excel, just down by name and address and location, just a comprehensive summary.
Condense it?
Yes,
We were
yes, we
getting,
can do
I
that.
think we got that at one time.
We did,
I
and we
like
still
the
get it.
report I got. I do. I don't have a problem with that, but it's kind of extensive, and it's not you can't look at it real quickly and then move on. So that would be good if we could
Okay.
have a condensed version,
And
kind
a
of
version like to travel.
like Mr. Eaton over here was requesting for some of his requests earlier.
Okay.
Paul?
No, Madam Chair.
David?
Just to give you a brief update, we were funded through the Tobacco Commission on 4 projects. We are meeting continually and moving forward with those projects. I want to thank Jeff and the Virginia Department of Transportation for their cooperation on a lot of this work that's going on in Southwest Virginia. So just wanted to kind of give everybody an update that those projects are moving forward.
Steve?
No, ma'am, I don't have anything.
Okay.
No.
No, Madam Chair.
All right, now, we need to look at our calendars, because we do need to reconvene to look at the budget and to look, if we've had time to read the information that our attorney has given us on the joiner and the articles of incorporation for the solid waste. If anyone has any questions, any comments, this will give us an opportunity to bring it back, to give it back to legal counsel to look. So what's everyone's calendars looking like in about 2 weeks? What, 10?
15.
Yeah,
We have
tax
15.
day, that's what we were looking at.
I'll be done by taxes.
You're waiting till that last minute, huh?
That was the day I picked.
Or, well, how about,
We had
The
so many
15th.
reconvenes, what's an extension, I mean?
Yeah. Is there any preference of time?
Madam Chair, 15th, I'm in Richmond.
Oh, okay. All right. How about the 16th? That's also the day that we have been invited to go to Buchanan County. You'll still be gone then too?
It's a travel back home day.
16th, okay.
What's the date?
That's a Thursday. That's a Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that evening, Steve?
After 10 o'clock.
Well, do you want to do, folks, do you want to do right after lunch? Or 10:30?
Yeah.
Or
I'll go
Lou?
buy lunch.
The time is not
Or
a
what?
problem for me, but I do prefer that the public be able to attend some of these as much as we can make it happen. Instead of our convenience, I would like
Okay.
it to be for public convenience.
Well,
Thursdays are not good then.
What is the following Monday?
the 22nd.
22nd.
I'm clear.
I think that's better.
Okay, let's do the 22nd, regular time,
Regular time.
6.
That's Easter break.
Sorry.
Oh,
It's Easter break.
Oh, sorry about that, I forgot about that. I know, for me too, but I forgot about it. We're just gonna have to pick a day,
How long is Easter break? How long
just
is it?
3 days.
3 days?
Friday, Monday, Tuesday.
Monday, how about Wednesday? 24th?
24th?
We're running out of days.
Yeah, we are,
That's good.
we'll be right back, and we need to work on this budget to get it
We're pushing it
together.
up to the end
We're
now.
pushing it,
Jeez.
Let's do the 24th.
okay?
6.
At the 6th, 24th at 6, to reconvene.
Well, everybody's a phone now.
That's it. We will,
What day?
the 24th, at 6, that's a Wednesday.
I pretty much say it's a morning.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday. And we will be 24th on a Wednesday at 6 that night.
We can have that here Friday.
Okay, that'll be fine. All right, we will reconvene that on the 24th.
I'll make a motion if we adjourn to reconvene on the 24th of April at 6 p.m. here in the board.
Boardroom.
Second.
David, all those in favor?
Start out with the certification of closed session. Pursuant to subsection 2.2, 3712D of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended, each member of the Board of Supervisors, upon roll call, certifies that to the best of their knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such business matters that were identified in the motions by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the Board of Supervisors. Any member of the Board of Supervisors who believes that there was a departure from the requirements shall say so prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure that in his or her judgment has taken place. Are there any supervisors who believe a departure has taken place? Thank you. Seeing none, if you agree that the matters heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting were pursuant only to the motions by which the closed meeting was convened, please signify by saying yea or yes. Tim Lovelace.
Yes.
Luann Wallace.
Yes.
Carl Ray. Yes. David Eaton.
Yes.
Steve Breeden.
Yes.
Harry Ferguson.
Yes.
Rebecca Dye.
Yes.
That concludes closed session, ma'am.
This time we'll have a motion to come back into regular session.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Thank you. All right, at this time, we'll have our invocation by Pastor Jacob Music regarding the vote, hope, and then we'll remain standing for the pledge, please.
Let's pray. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for another day of life that you blessed us with. God, we thank you for your love, your mercy, and your grace. And God, most of all, we thank you for your Son, Jesus, who died for each of us. And God, We come before you now confessing that so many times we go our own ways. And Lord, we ask that you forgive us. And Lord, tonight I pray blessings upon those that are gathered here. God, as this board makes decisions, God, give them wisdom. Help them to work together for the betterment of this community. And God, we just want to give you the praise, Lord, the glory for all that you do through our community. And that, God, we can stand here and pray. And that, God, that we can proclaim you as our God. And so, God, tonight we thank you for what you do for us, and we want to give you all the praise, honor, and glory, for it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time, we need to approve the agenda, but we also need to make an amended agenda. We have 3 things that we need to get in, and we'll put those under the county administrator. So we have a motion to amend the agenda to add these 3 new articles. The first one is naming April Sex Offender Awareness, the proclamation, the Virginia Brownfield grant of awarding money to the Daint area, and a grant to the Sheriff's Office for violence against women.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. And we will put that as items 12. He wants them under the request 12, 13, and 14 under his request. 12 is April proclamation, 13 is the Virginia Brownfield grant, and 14 is the Violence Against Women grant to be awarded to the Sheriff's Office. All right, at this time we have some wonderful part of our job is recognizing our wonderful and special children in the county. First, we have the Honaker High School 2019 Class 1 State Championship with the Scholastic Bowl team. If those folks could come in. Switch. There's all these wonderful children. Come on in. Come on around, children. Come on.
There we go.
I usually make that trip to Williamsburg with him, but I didn't do it this year. But I'm so proud of him, Charlie. David, would you like to give him out there?
Thank you.
Right over there.
Around this way. Well, it's an honor to be able to do this. I tell you, we have, I truly believe we have the best and brightest in Southwest Virginia. Can we give them an applause? If it's okay with Mr. Bush, and well, I'll let you do it. If you want to go ahead, no, just go ahead and kind of give the history a little bit before you do this.
This is our 22nd year playing BHSL Scholastic Bowl. It's taken us a long time to get to the point where we're at now, but after a long history of working very hard at it and keeping our traditions going across generations, lately we've really had a lot of success at the state level. And since 2014 we've won 4 state championships, and just in the last 4 years we've won 3. So it's been a great ride. These guys work so hard to accomplish everything they do. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. I mean, they work just as hard at this as any athlete does in their given sport. So they deserve to be applauded for all that hard work as well.
You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Aiden Cook, I'm the captain.
Brianna Perkins.
Keith Hunter.
Leah Music. Cassie Atkins. Abigail Sykes.
Charlie Perkins.
Congratulations.
Good.
Congratulations. get pictures. Come on over here, Mr. Buzz. Come on. She's going to tell you where it's from.
Can you get?
Where do you live, Miss Heather?
Actually, just stay where you are. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And that's good for me.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh.
I taught most parents too, Charlie. No.
That laptop thing is standing up. It should be sat down.
Okay, our next acknowledgement tonight is Hunter High School 2018 Class 1 All-State Football Team, Chandler Hubbard, and his father, Doug, head football coach at Hubbard. Come on in here, boys.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Once you turn it back on.
Yeah.
I will, hey, sweetheart. This one I used to change diapers and babysit. That's why I had to come down here. My goodness,
He's appreciating it. You know we're on TV, right?
And the academic team that just left, I taught most of their parents. That's bad. Certificate of Phonic Primary Student Chandler Hubbard, Virginia High School League 2018 Class 1 All-State Football. Great job.
No, no pressure.
At this time, we will open our public hearing with Ms. Brooke Ashley and David Leonard with the Elk Garden School property and what it means to our community and what the plans are for the Elk Garden School.
I'm David Leonard from here in Lebanon, and I'd like to give you a brief history of the Elk Garden School first, if I may. In the year 1889, the Elk Garden District had 86 schoolhouses. 2 were brick, 33 were frame, 51 were log. The average school session was 5 months at that time. The average salary of a white teacher was $25.80, and the pupil cost was 61 cents per month. The present Elk Garden School was built in 1916 and opened in 1917 on 3.3 acres of land purchased from Mr. Hugh Browning, and the building cost at that time was $25,000, and that was a bunch of money then for sure. The capacity was 175 with 5 classrooms and 1 auditorium. The Elk Garden School had the first school bus in the county, a covered wagon furnished by the school board, and drawn by horses furnished by Governor Stewart. The Elk Garden was a junior high at that time from 1916 to 1927 until the high school opened in Lebanon. Elk Garden had the first lunch program, started in 1936, and had the first religious service structure, Vespers as we called it, when I went there to Elk Garden School. The Elk Garden School, of course, closed about 2010, was the oldest building in the county, school building at that time, and it rung with the sounds of education. Now it has the opportunity to ring with the new sounds of community support, which we present to you tonight. Hill Garden School opened 1917, closed about 2011, 93 years of service. It has again is a special asset to the county and area, has that opportunity again when it's leased to the Holston Conference of the United Methodist Church. The building was in very poor condition. The furnace did not work for many reasons. The electrical program was shot, the plumbing was gone, froze and bursted, and the trash throughout the building. The Holston Conference and many volunteers spent thousands of dollars, and my people that work for me spent a lot of untold hours and dollars out there cleaning and working also. It is now clean, operating condition, of course still needs a lot of work. Elk Garden became a liability to the county before the Holston Conference took it over. It is now an asset to the community at no cost to the county. It's an opportunity here to make it great again. Butch Pratt left $50,000 to that organization, and there have been others that have made monetary donations as well as donations in kind, groups and individuals. And there are many denominations of churches that help Brooke and her group to work out there. It has now a state-of-the-art kitchen, about 100 raised gardens that have been put in this last 2 weeks. The year it opened in 1917, my father, Joe Leonard, went to 7th grade there in the last year that he went to school. My mom, Mary Ethel Price Leonard, taught 4th and 5th grades there for 20 years or more. And she didn't have a degree. She'd been to college 1 year. And because she didn't have a degree, she got half the money that the other teachers got. But with that, she sent my brother and me to Virginia Tech and opened unequal doors for us. My interest is to create continuity of the program of the Holston Conference, and the Holston Conference is willing to commit for 10 years of additional service there and improve the conditions of the building, etc. And hopefully it'll go beyond that, but they would commit to that. During that time, they will invest in the permanent upgrade of the building, which will include the heat and air conditioning and a lot of things that need to be brought up to date. Now, there's a lady who has headed all this up and made it happen, and she's had hundreds of volunteers that she can tell you about, but that is Reverend Brooke, actually, and she has the full story. Thank you.
The Elk Garden School is a happening place through the week. We have hundreds of folks who come in seeking a place to be accepted, and maybe needing a hand up with various things. We have a human food pantry that serves almost 250 families that are in Russell County. And they get to be paired up with a volunteer and choose their food in what's called a free choice. It looks like a little store, so that we make sure that we're good stewards of the resources we're given and that we're actually giving a benefit to a family. It doesn't make sense to me to hand them peas if nobody in their family is going to eat the peas. It doesn't help them, and it is a waste of our resources. But more importantly, there's a relationship that is being built. And if you were to come visit us tomorrow morning, the cafeteria will be full of folks who will be enjoying donuts and coffee and each other's company and our services while waiting their turn in the food pantry. So it's a beautiful sight to behold. We also noticed that folks needed help with their animals, and so we started, along with several other organizations and agencies in the county, a pet food pantry. So once a month, folks come and get food for their family or for their pets. And for a lot of our older folks in the community, these pets are more like family members and very much companions. And what we realized is folks were choosing to either not eat themselves or choosing food out of the human food pantry to feed their animals. And so last month, we served 102 families for their pets. And we do that in collaboration with the animal shelter and Friends of the Russell County Animals and other organizations, not only to help them with their animals, but to also offer free spaying and neutering so that we can perhaps get a handle on our stray pet population here in the county. But it's not just that. We have hundreds of volunteers, like Dave said. In the month of March, over 1,200 volunteer hours were logged in on that property, part of which is the new community garden. And if you have not been out in the last couple weeks, I encourage you to come out and see what's happening. We have 72 raised vegetable garden beds, 12 fruit beds, and then herb beds. But when we are all done with that, it will be handicap accessible. So anyone who is wanting to get their hands a little dirty will be able to do that. And that food will be used to supplement the food pantry so that we are giving out fresh fruits and vegetables. But the partnerships run deep. Over 84 churches, agencies, organizations, and businesses have partnered in one way or another in the last 4 years with this. It is a strong community organization, and something that I have been privileged to be a part of. It has become a labor of love, and I'm there most days. But if you have not been out there to see what is happening, I encourage you to come and visit. We do not have the time today to talk about all that goes on and all of the resources that are being poured into our community through this building. So we're excited about the next steps as we go forward.
Thank you both. And I too have a connection to the community. My grandmother taught there. She drove the horse and buggy there for 50 cents. She thought she was making big money. And I attended school there, grades 1 through 7 back then. We didn't even have kindergarten. So, at this time, what Mr. Leonard is proposing is to purchase this property to continue as a community center. Are there any other public comments on the Elk Garden School property? No other comments on the purchasing of this school property for the community center? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on that. Do we have a motion to allow the purchase, Mr. Leonard to purchase Elk Garden School for the Methodist Church?
And
Yes.
you want me? I'd be proud to make that. I think the ministry up there is a great thing. They've done wonderful things up there. Anytime we can repurpose an old school like this, I think it takes liability away from the county and it puts it to a great use. So I will make that motion.
I'll second that motion, providing we do what was agreed in our agreement with Dave, and I'll be glad to second that.
That is to hold the water rights on the school if we ever need it for county water. It would be, there is a strong well there, and we might need it for further water projects within our county. And the purchase price of this that was agreed upon is $50,000 for our record. All right. All those in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Brooke.
Yeah, it is a wonderful, and you do need to drive by and see those raised gardens. It's a wonderful thing to see.
Keep up the great.
All right, next we have a presentation from a Mr. Michael Collins, the Center for Nature's Capital, the Stream Sweepers.
Mike's actually not here.
Okay.
I'm the director of the program for the Clutch River Project. Mike's the actual owner of the company.
What's your name? Excuse me.
Oh, sorry, Maddie Gordon.
Maddie
Gordon, G-O-R-D-O-N. I have a terrible head cold, I apologize.
Thank you.
I've got just a short video here. I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to see it yet. We've been sharing it pretty heavily on social media, but it just gives you, that is definitely on it. We had a school reunion. But anyway, yeah, so just about a 5-minute video here. Is there sound? They're supposed to be.
Okay, is the audio level coming down on that, on the input of that?
Gotta be on her computer, won't be hooked on this sound system, gotta be on her computer probably.
Is it route back to?
Mm-mm, no. No.
I know, plug it to get audio, so I'll just turn it around for you guys, or is this not? No, I plug it in.
Virginia's valleys before the first settlers set foot on North American soil. The Clinch River has connected communities from Castle, Virginia to Tennessee as it flows through the picturesque Its waters flowed through Virginia's valleys before the first settlers set foot on North American soil. The Clinch River has connected communities from Tazewell, Virginia to Tennessee as it flows through the picturesque mountain valleys of southwest Virginia. The Nature Conservancy has found the Clinch River is one of the most biologically diverse rivers in North America, supporting over 100 native aquatic species. But today, it is struggling to survive. Since 2016, Street Sweepers has been working with community partners to assess 120 miles of riverbank on the Clinch River.
So as Street Sweepers, we're here at the Clinch River, and we are super anxious about getting the river clean. Get in the water, pull these tires out. You're going to see cars, tires, trash of all sorts on the banks, on the riverbed, under the water. We're really excited.
After years of study, phase 1 of a multi-year project to remove harmful debris will now begin. This includes the removal of thousands of tires, appliances, and household trash that threaten the health and diversity of our river.
We're working to clean the river while also helping to keep the river at a point where the native cleaners can still be productive.
The Clinch River is struggling to maintain a healthy ecosystem that is home to a multitude of diverse species, including the only place in the world where the endangered golden riffle shell mussel is found. This rare inhabitant is also an indicator species, meaning if the riffle shell can survive, we know we can have clean water flowing to all inhabitants of our river. Changing our world for the better is a daunting task, but in reality, your investment of time, money, or equipment will change the course of history. We invite you to join us on the river.
A renaissance is underway in Southwest Virginia. Years ago, a handful of community visionaries conceived of a future economy based off the area's scenic resources. From the bluffs and the ledges of the Clinch River Valley, some of the most awe-inspiring in the Mid-Atlantic, one will be able to witness the largest river cleanup project ever attempted on the East Coast. The first piece of this new and sustainable project. The budget for the first phase of the Clinch River cleanup, which will span some 3 years and affect 80% of the river, is $325,000. budget are funds for an anti-dumping program, as well as funds for K-12 education, so that students can come and study the effects and the impacts of trash on human health, as well as the health of aquatic species. Also included in this budget are funds for a documentary which will chronicle the cleanup and the restoration and effect that it has on the people of Southwest Virginia that rely on the Clinch River. Your generosity in supporting this project will help the people, the river, and the economy of Southwest Virginia.
Sorry for the technical difficulties there. But anyway, so what I'm here this evening for is to give an update of where we are. We've been working, this starts our third year with the program here in Russell County, and I wanted to give you an update where we are and where we look to be in the next 3 years. Right now, we've completed all the assessment on the Clinch River, 60 miles that is in Russell County. That does share part with Wise County and a little bit with Scott County, and some with Tazewell that we ended up going through just because of the location of the public access to get into the water. But where we are right now, there's on our website, streamsweepers.org, you can actually see an interactive trash map that we put on there that shows locations of what type of trash it is, how much there is there, and a lot of it, there's pictures that go along with it. We also did a small amount of study on the fish habitat as well while we were doing that. So this year, starting in mid-May, we're looking to get 10 to 12 sweepers, which would be local youth from this area on the water, pulling trash out of the water. We have finally obtained our permit from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services and worked closely with all the agencies related in order to know how to safely remove any trash and debris from water, from under the water, from the banks of the water, and not harm any of our threatened endangered species. The approximate cost for cleaning the river is $6,000 per mile of riverbank. So that's $3,000 aside. Over the next 3 years, we have about 50 miles of river that we're going to be working on. There's about 10 miles that we can't touch right now due to the threatened and endangered species. We will be able to work with those, but there's a different process. It's going to take a lot longer to work in that area. So we work with the Nature Conservancy, and we've blocked off certain areas. We plan to complete about 15 miles each year for a total of about $90,000 a year. Right now, we've cut our budget down to the bare minimum that we can, and we're at $85,000 is what we're looking at to get us through this first year. That does cut some of the anti-dumping project that we had planned, and also some of the K-12 activities. I think we're still going to be able to stay on with the majority of all the water testing. We're not going to get to start as early with it as we had hoped, but we're going to stick with it. We do have some funding already from Dominion and the TVA. We've started a GoFundMe that we've been promoting. We've got a goal of $8,000 with the GoFundMe page right now, and right now we're almost at $1,000. That leaves $27,000 just for this year. What we're looking for is support from the county and the residents, because this is a vital asset to our community. Tourism, ecotourism, future generations. We're looking to do something to support the local area for generations to come. We'll provide updates regularly, and anyone that is a contributor, we're going to advertise by including the organization, any posters, any of the promotions that we do, shirts, anything like that. It's an opportunity to invest in the program. It's going to be benefiting and investing in our local youth and the ecotourism. Russell County has the 60 miles that I've mentioned, and with that 27,000 we're looking at, we want to be able to get 10 to 12 sweepers on the water this year, get the first 15 miles, and provide an update at the end of that. I don't know if you guys have been out there on the water. I actually just went Saturday, and in Old Castlewood, boat launch looks great now. We finally concreted the steps in, so that's wonderful. But the amount of trash, I mean, there's hundreds of tires just in that 2 mile stretch. Not counting all the cars, parts of looks like school buses, road cones, traffic cones that are all through there. So that's a big pull in the area, is getting people on the water right now. We're just trying to clean it up a little bit. The water quality testing that we're going to be doing is going to hopefully prove that the removal of the tires that release so many harmful chemicals and metals will actually improve the quality of the life of our aquatic. So, that's all I have for you guys.
question, if it's okay. At one time, I think when we met, there was an issue about removing the tires
Yes.
because they're quite light.
Yes, there was, and so we met with DGIM, TNC, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, and actually went, in the video and on our website, you can actually see pictures and some video of that. We actually went in the water with these organizations, and we showed them what our process is, they showed us what their process of removal would be. And we worked with them, like I said, to obtain the permit. And I also have a map from TNC that shows what part we have to stay out of. We've also got it narrowed down of, we can't just pull 1,000 tires out of one hole, because obviously that's going to create some problems. So we have worked very closely with all the agencies. They're on board with us, what we're doing.
What do you do about the buses? You're talking about these buses and parts. Do you sell those, can you not sell that to the metal companies?
Right now, we've never done that before. We've always just relied on county, city, towns in the past to take that, and then if they want to sell that off or whatever, we don't keep any of the stuff that we pull out. We do look for assistance from any organizations or even private individuals, companies that do have heavy equipment to help us remove some of this. There's actually, in a couple places, there's entire pieces of train cars through there. I mean, it's quite amazing to see how much trash is really out there, but we turn it all in to landfill.
I also think there was an area where our truck down to cars that it didn't pass last time.
For the designated blueway, is that? Yeah,
Scenic
Scenic River. Yes, so that's part of, which I didn't even include that in here, what we're looking at doing. One of the parts is the amount of trash, the other is the lack of study and finding of the threatened and endangered species. So as we go through, which there are quite a few threatened and endangered species in that area, so the Cleveland area specifically we have to stay out of right now. But we are working towards a goal. We've met with Lynn Crook a few times in an effort to get that status.
What is the area that you have to stay out of right now?
Yeah, so we're from Blackford up, we're clear. From St. Paul down, we're completely clear. The gray area is from Blackford to Puckett's Hole. Puckett's Hole to Natchez Ford is okay. Natchez Ford to Archer is not okay. There's a small stretch from Archer to Cleveland that is, but the majority is not. And then, of course, anything Cleveland down to basically right around the bend past the power plant is off limits. So just above the launch at Carterton on down. TNC isn't so much worried about Bluebell Island as the town of St. Paul and myself growing up there. So we are going to avoid that area because the students at St. Paul and then Castlewood, they come in the summertime a lot and do mussel silos. So we're going to avoid working and disturbing anything like that for the next couple of years.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, we appreciate that. Our next item on the agenda is the board appointments. This is for the Daint Community Center. Bobby Gullett, 2-year term, Arthur Phillips, and Wanda Osborne. All of these are 2-year terms.
Madam Chair, Mr. Lester, did you reach out to any of those folks and did they say that they were interested in coming back on board? Okay, all right. Then, Madam Chair, if I may, I'd like to make a motion that we accept those 3 back onto the Daint Community Center Board.
Should we do this as a slate, Mr. Chatham? Is that all right?
You
Just
can
do
do
it.
it, yes.
Okay, all right, we have a motion to accept all 3. Do we have a second? With 10? I don't believe we need it. Don't need a second for that. Yeah, well, I named all 3. Okay, 10. Second. All right. All right. Any other nominations? Any other folks? All right, at this time, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of these 3 folks? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Luke, you'll tell those 3 folks they'll be back with your community center. Our new business is the approval of minutes. We did have 2 meetings, March the 4th. We'll take that one. Do we have a motion to
So
accept
moved,
those?
Madam Chair.
David, thank you.
Second.
Second. Steve, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, our second set of minutes is for our March the 14th meeting. Do we have a motion to accept those?
So moved.
Steve, do we have a second? Lou?
Second.
Lou,
We
thank
got feedback over
Yeah.
here.
Green.
Pretty distorted.
Okay, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
We have approved our minutes. Next, we have approval of our expenditures for the month.
So moved, Madam Chair.
All right, David, thank you. A second,
I'll say.
and Carl. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, now we have citizens' comment period. Please limit to 3 minutes, and when you come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Do we have any citizens that have any comments at this time? Was there one outside?
Yes.
Oh,
There's a list.
okay.
There's a list.
Thank you.
Do we need to go by the list?
No, we need to go get our list.
We got some additional seats in here if y'all wanna come inside and make yourself at home in here.
Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate that. All right, sorry, folks, I didn't realize it hadn't been brought in. Our first is Mr. Orris Christian.
And I'm going to give my time to Bob Gibson.
All right, Mr. Bob Gibson.
Good evening. I used to sit up there and it's more comfortable on this side, I can tell you. What I'm here about is, this new football field proposal for Lebanon High School. I'm not against it until you look at the situation in Castlewood. We play on a pasture field. And just gonna pass some pictures that I brought of the school condition it's in. And, you know, keep in mind, that didn't happen overnight. It's years in neglect. Our school has no track, it never has. We've had a few state champions in track, but there were jumping and throwing events, no running events. The fence around the football field is in terrible shape. There's pictures of that. The bleachers, none of our bleachers are handicap accessible. You see the pictures of the softball field. It's almost embarrassing. It has a dirt streak all the way through the outfield, where the bleacher had to be moved for them to play softball. And we're trying to start a soccer team down there this year, but you can see there's other pictures there where the outfield fence is takes up over half of the soccer field. They did buy a new fence that's easier to move down, but it's you know, it's a major inconvenience to try to get a program started. Our track team travels to Eastside twice a week to practice. So that hampers us getting track athletes to play soccer because they're not there. And moving those bleachers every year, the softball field's never gonna get better. I would like to see bleachers be able to be permanent there, and that, you know, the softball field, you'll find a place for it. Or, I know Castlewood campus is landlocked, but we've got a fairgrounds 2 miles down the road or so, plenty of land. That's where the school was originally supposed to be, if y'all can recall. But there's plenty of land for a track and a stadium there. I mentioned that to Dr. Brown last week in a meeting, and he said he would look at it, but if you do this one, it'll take 20 years to pay it off. You know, the reality is just, you're not going to do both. I just, pleading for Castlewood, don't forget us. You know, there's 3 schools in this county, and Castlewood by far has the least facilities. I mean, we've got a nice gym, got a nice baseball field now, but our football field, you know, compared to the rest of the county, it's an embarrassment. And like I say, those things that happened there, didn't happen on, the hole in the field house has been up for 2 years. Even the tarp has a hole in it. The fronting of the elementary and the high school, it's been like that for over 2 years. And the roof, you know, it may need to be replaced instead of just fixing it. And if the, you know, this, the concrete bleachers here at Lakeland High School, that didn't happen overnight. You know, when something's wrong, you fix it. You don't let it tear down. You have to build a new one. But, you know, I just say, you know, don't forget the citizens of Castlewood and the kids at Castlewood that play on a pasture field. You're going to think about spending a $5 million, 4.5, whatever it is, new stadium here in Lakeland. It's just inherently unfair. All right, that's all.
Next is Gary Dodson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and the board for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Gary Dodson, and I live at 8 Reagan Drive, Castlewood, Virginia. I'm here to address some issues that's going on with Castlewood water. There's a letter sent out to the public on that was dated 3/12/19 that was inaccurate. First of all, there was no discussion of reducing the rates, nor was there a vote by the Castlewood Authority to do this matter as stated in the letter. I'm not against a justified rate reduction. However, the letter reads as if I voted against a rate reduction. I only voted not to dissolve the Castlewood Water Authority or to merge until a study is done. I asked that the letter be revised and clarified and sent back out to the citizens of Castlewood Water. I asked you to direct, if I understand correctly, where the letter came from is Mr. Frank Kilgore. I asked the board to direct him to correct this letter and send that letter back out to the public, stated correctly. This appears to be a defamation of character against me, and I don't like it, and I asked you to correct it for that reason, mainly, so the citizens to know what is actually going on. And if the letter's not corrected, I feel like it's defamation of character, and I shall take other actions if see it's not feasible or correct to do. The Russell County Board of Supervisors voted several months ago to have a study done about the merger or dissolve the Castlewood Water Authority. As far as I know, that study has not been done. I can't get an answer that it will be done. Can anyone tell me that that study will be done? You voted for it to be done. Why has it not been done? Are you afraid of what the study might show? Are you afraid that the Castlewood Authority will stay in place? Or are you afraid that the facility for the PSA in Russell County be in Castlewood instead of somewhere else? There's a new renovated office there. There's a warehouse to store stuff in, and there's a grounds there to use. If I understand correctly, the PSA did not have that kind of facility. Castlewood Water produces water, has water plants, and has sewer, working on permission to get water out of the Clinton River through AEP. All that the upper end PSA does is purchase water, put it in a pipe, meter and bill it. There's a lot more activity goes on in Castlewood Water. 3 board members are recently replaced on the Castlewood Water Authority that knew nothing of the authority's business. One of them is rumored to not be a customer of the Castlewood Authority and a convicted felon, which should not be on the board doing business for our citizens. All Castlewood board members previously agreed to abide by this study in the opinion that the study was not performed. I guess to get back to the thing that you're afraid of what it's going to say, but all board members of Castlewood a year or a year and a half ago agreed to abide by the study to do any merger that the study said to do.
Thank you, Mr. Dodson. I apologize that your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you for the time. Hope you do something about the authority.
Have a good evening. Thank you, dear. Next, we have Chase Campbell and Jesse Fields with the Russell County Combined Search and Rescue.